Welcome to Never Not Sailing. I'm Danielle and this is Tyler, or Captain Woodsy. Our sailing journey began from Adelaide with grand dreams to cross the Great Australian Bight and see how far we could get in a year. Turns out, the Southern Ocean is a fickle beast and we couldn't achieve what we set out to do. So we're on to plan B, which is to explore West Australia by land before heading to Europe to see what kind of mischief we can manage there. Join us every Sunday as the irony of calling ourselves Never Not Sailing grows, because what happens next, nobody knows. Thanks now. Hello, good morning. We're on the road. We're heading to Broome. It's going to take us 2 days to get there.
Because we're soft on the road, we take lots of stops.
Yeah, I pee every 20 minutes. It's a real scenario.
But, I mean, we could do it in one bite from here, but
it's not pleasant.
It's not pleasant. We'll be doing a lot of dark, night driving, which we're not big fans of because it's not as safe.
We're just soft, just say it. Like, we like to take it easy.
Yeah.
So we're going to Dampier today.
A lot of childhood memories for me there.
Yep, so that's about a 6-hour drive, which ended up being 8-hour drives with all the P stops. And then we've got a 9-hour drive to Broome. So it's about, 1,400 kilometres?
Yeah, no, I think it's 1,100 from here.
Okay. Yeah, so it's a while away, so we're going to take 2 days to get there, just in time for Tyler's dad's birthday and Tyler's birthday. Ew. I'm up and about. Whale shark diving was incredible. Spending time with Tom and Zoe was unreal. And then we just were camping at Ned's, and that's where Tyler caught this craze. It's just been so lovely. We've been having a good time. This is our little farewell tour of Australia now. We're only here for a couple more weeks, and then we're off to Europa.
Europe.
To see my mother.
Final countdown.
It's a final countdown.
Shush. Copyright.
As we moved further north and the Red Pin Dam of North Australia came into view, Tyler started to discuss mining, and I naturally gave him grief about putting it into context and launched into a story of my own. Like when I moved to a small country town and I didn't know what harvest was.
Danielle, that's actually genuinely poor.
It's a real story.
One would assume when you go to a farming town, that harvest might have something to do with harvesting the crops.
I was 21 when I started teaching, and I went out to Balaclava, and in the lexicon of my community
Explain lexicon, give us some context.
The vocabulary, the understanding, the context of my life. Harvest was a music festival in Queensland. And when I'm sitting in the staff room and everyone's banging on about harvest and the kids are talking about harvest, it's like, what is this town's obsession? Do they go up to Queensland? And I made mention of this to one of the other teachers who was a part-time teacher, part-time farmer, loveliest angel from heaven, AJ Woods. Hey Sylph. He just turned, I asked what harvest was, he's like, that's so ignorant, how do you think you get your bread? I was like, I'd never really thought about it. It just wasn't part of my vocabulary. And then, sweetheart that he is, he's like, right, and took me out on the header, which is the enormous big, reaping device, and spent an afternoon out there with him, took me to his farm, and I stopped being a bloody idiot, an ignorant prick at that point. I knew what vintage was. I drank a lot of wine. I ate a lot of bread. But I just never thought about it. It wasn't like, I need to take a week off for harvest, or blah, blah, blah. But I soon learned. That's why I moved out of the country town. So
there's actually around these parts, because there are areas in the Pilbara which are sort of like heritage listed lands, indigenous lands you can't really touch, you can't mine them. Rio Tinto actually got into heaps of strife recently, mining the wrong area and then trying to cover it up or something. It was pretty terrible. Yeah, the CEO had got sacked for it. It was big time. This was in the last couple of years. Anyway, there are some areas that you can't touch with mining, and you got to be real careful with when you step on land, step on that land. Like just by foot, you can't leave any rubbish and stuff around, which you shouldn't be anyway. But this area is really well known for its rock paintings, rock art from way back in the day, thousands of years ago.
Pre-colonial.
Yeah, where the indigenous people of this land were living around and on the land and would tell their stories through rock art and paintings. And we probably won't have time to go out and see any of that because we're on a bit of a march up to Broome. But something to look out for if you are in the Pilbara, Dampier, Karratha region, because they are pretty special and pretty unique to look at.
Hello everyone, we are in Karratha, about to go into Dampier, and I thought I'd just tell a little story for our international guests. Tyler just pointed out, I said Hungry Jack's civilization, and then Tyler pointed out that this might be the last Hungry Jacks that we see until we get overseas. Ooh, 185, stunning. And a little story. So Burger King is called Burger King everywhere in the world except for Australia, because when the what have you done? When they tried to establish Burger King here in Australia, there was already a single burger stand called Burger King, who would not sell their name to the conglomerate. And the owner of Burger King's name was Jack, and so they ended up calling it Hungry Jack's. So Australia's the only place in the world where Burger King is called Hungry Jack's for that reason. And that little burger shop was in South Australia. And that's history, folks. It was a short overnight stop in Dampier where Tyler reminisced about his childhood in the Navy Cadets, where he spent lots of time on camp here in the summers, before we head to Broome the next day, which was a long drive. Lucky when we got in, Tyler whipped us up that crayfish into a pickled concoction.
Alrighty, usually we're doing cooking with Danny L on the Never Not channel, but today you have got me because I did a lot of the heavy lifting while Danny L was freaking out about my survival. 6 hours thereabouts I spent in at Exmouth at Ned's campground for those that are interested. I'll call this beast. That's for reference. That's my forearm, which is about 12 inches long. There you go. So it's a big fella. And we've had him in the fridge and a super cold fridge last night for about 3 days. So I'll just put him back in the bag. So what we're going to be doing is pickling this fella, which is a recipe that we got from mates in Exmouth who you would have heard of on the channel before. You would have seen Tomo when we did the whale shark diving. So in this recipe what we're going to do is we're going to boil up the cray just shy of cooked, and then we're going to cool it on ice to make sure the cooking process stops, and then in a big jar we're going to put in some diced onion, some sliced ginger, orange mustard seeds. We're going with yellow mustard seeds because that's what we've got, fresh garlic, peppercorns, sweet chili sauce, a tablespoon of sugar, and a dash of Italian dressing. And then what we do is we'll top it up once we're there, but I'll show you the process as we go along. is our pickled crayfish. We'll give it a go in a couple of days and tell you how it tastes. This is the first footage on our SD card. If we are not able to recover what we did have on the SD card that was originally in this GoPro, we have just lost a whole bunch of footage from Broome, but more importantly a whole bunch of footage from Mount Hart, Manning Gorge, Adcock Gorge, and the other fella, Galvin's Gorge. So we...
Four-wheel driving.
Yeah.
So we got stuff with the drone. We're using this because it's an unpowered site, so we've procured some power, but the SD card corrupted while we were having a swim in Galvin's Gorge today.
Yeah. So we're isolating that to hopefully get it back.
We're hoping that there's some U-boot trick to extracting, but we put the SD card in the drone and it wouldn't show up there. We put the SD card in our other camera, our little DJI handheld one, and nothing was coming up there. So we're a bit disheartened. I'm strangely a bit zen. I said to Tyler,
what?
A bit zen.
Oh yeah.
Normally I'm like, have a filthy temper about this kind of thing, and especially yesterday I was like, oh, should we get the footage off of the GoPro? And then we're just having a lovely day. We're like, you know, let's leave technology, blah blah blah. But I said to Tyler, you know, so we'll miss out on an episode for you lot, but we've got some drone footage, but more importantly we're here and we got to experience it. And before we started doing any of this hoo-ha anyway, we went like recording people.
Yeah, neither of us.
Like, I've been travelling for years, you've been travelling.
I've got no photos of any.
We got a few photos, but...
Oh, thousands of when I was in India.
Yeah.
Then I gave it up.
And then gave it up. But hopefully it can be fixed so that we can show you. But I suppose we just need to have a little bit of perspective that we're here and that we're doing it.
Yeah.
How's this?
Leaning on
a washing machine. How's this set up? The toilet, the male toilet's there, the sink, the female toilet, the generator's around the corner there. And we've just co-opted this corner of the universe to bring the 21st century into off-the-grid life.
We will be dragging footage absolutely every day, religiously from now on.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Sure, now you want to listen. There's a smile. There it is.
All right. I don't know if you can see all of this.
Pardon?
But we got ash
I noticed.
everywhere. I'm talking to the camera, Danielle.
Oh.
I'm catching up on all the footage we lost. They're backburning everywhere through here.
What did you just say?
I'm catching up on all the footage we lost.
I think you said all the footage you lost.
No, I didn't say that.
You better not have.
I didn't.
Good.
Anyway, it was a beautiful shot. That's our energy sometimes. You get that. The good and the bad.
Crazy eyes.
This is our Manning Gorge camp setup. This hasn't been too bad to us. Shaded most of the day. But yeah, bloody cockatoos galore. And smoky skies. Unfortunately, there's a Manning Gorge walk where you go and check out like the waterfalls. We can't do that at the minute. Hopefully we're able to do it tomorrow afternoon before we leave. Friday morning.
Why?
What's that?
Have you explained why?
Yeah, so what's going on is they're back burning all through the ranges here to ensure that if there is a fire that comes through, it doesn't do any serious damage, and they're back burning up at the gorge itself. So and that's why there's smoke and ash and all that everywhere, all over our gear. And then hopefully once that's all good, we can go for that walk and check out that waterfall. No drone footage allowed at Manning Gorge and campgrounds, just preference of the station owners at Mount Barnett here. But this is us.
This is the big, it's strange because it's mid-late May here.
Yeah.
And we're in North Australia, so backburning normally occurs down south right before summer.
Yeah.
And this is winter, but up north over the equator. up north closer to the equator, they don't have seasons like we do down south of 4 seasons. They have wet and dry, just like you get in Southeast Asian countries, closer to the equator as well. So we're here on this trip now, and it's the start of the Gibb season because it's just transferring into the wet season, dry season. Yeah. So it's been wet from when? November?
No. From like September, October, through to about April. So it's about 6 months.
And so that's the wet season, and that's when it's obviously very wet, it's very humid, it's very sticky. The first time that I went to Broome was over Christmas a few years ago, and it was like unbearable because I'm so pasty and pale and frizzy haired. Celtic gal, I like cooler climates or drier climates. So it rains its heart out over the wet, and then now we're coming into the dry, which means that all the gorges are filled. The Gibb River Road is beautiful with all these stops, but it also means that this is their dry season, so this is when they're doing their back burning. So Australia's just a weird place that we can have such sparse.
Yeah, during the wet you can't actually cross the Gibb. There's a lot of river crossings and creek crossings that have got water in all through them, and even now they've got water through them. So if some torrential rains and monsoons have come through, you're no chance at being able to get through. Perfectly timed purchase.
Our brush. Even though we lost all of our footage on our GoPro for the first few days of our trip on the Gibb River Road, like we said, we'll remember this trip forever, even if we don't have the footage. But we did manage to secure the footage that we took on the drone. So here's a little look at Mount Hart Wilderness Lodge, Baker's Pool, and the Dollarite Gorge, which is where we spent the first few days on our trip.
So burn the map, I ignored the signs, but feeling far away. 2 years in a couple of days, I just wave my hand to the world outside like it's all okay. I can't believe what my eyes have seen. I just woke up from a broken dream. Who can stop my hands from shaking? I need you to take them, and I don't wanna wait.
Catch us next week as our trip along the Gibb River Road continues. We go chasing waterfalls at Manning Gorge, Tyler grapples with an ankle injury, and we have a little window of civilization on our way to Equestro. Thanks so much for watching. Please make sure to click the thumb, subscribe, say hello to us in the comments, and check out our merch store. Until we see you next time on Never Not Sailing.